Last summer, I was feeling really lost. I had just gone through a breakup, and my weekends consisted of wandering the beach. I liked beachcombing, looking for shells and odd bits of marine debris. I thought being out there would clear my mind. Most days, it did, at least until I found something strange. One warm afternoon, I was scanning the tide pools. I could hear the waves crashing and smell the salty air. I moved from one pool to another, feeling the sun on my back. I noticed something half buried in the sand. I thought it was just junk at first. But then I saw a face drawn on it. It didn't seem like a normal face. I felt a chill creep down my spine. I pushed the thought away. I must have been imagining it. Weeks passed, and I kept returning to the beach. I found a child's shoe, small and worn. I picked it up. It felt wrong somehow. I looked around, but I didn't see any kids nearby. I shoved it into my bag. I didn't want to take it, but I couldn't leave it there. I also came across a journal. I opened it at home, and the pages were filled with frantic writing. Names I didn't recognize, scattered notes, all in a hurry. I felt uneasy just looking at it. I wanted to forget about it. The last thing I found was a stack of old photographs. They looked distorted and faded. The people in the pictures seemed familiar, but I couldn't place them. My skin crawled as I flipped through them. Each picture felt wrong, like something bad had happened. I kept glancing over my shoulder, half expecting someone to be there. I always looked toward the waves, thinking I might see shadowy figures among the surf. But there was nothing. As summer went on, my visits changed. They became darker, more intense. My mind wouldn't let go of those items. I started to wonder if they were linked to the missing people I'd seen reported in the news. I told myself they were just beach trash, but I could feel my imagination running wild. One day, I stood at the water's edge, staring out at the waves. I felt watched. My heart raced, and I got cold chills. I turned around, but the beach was empty. Just me and the sound of the waves crashing. I wanted to walk away, but something kept me there. Now, I still think about it. I can't shake the feeling that it was all real. The beach feels different to me now. I don't know if I'll ever go back. I wonder what I really found out there. Maybe some things are better left alone. Or maybe it wasn't my imagination after all. Maybe I wasn't alone at the beach. The next weekend, I fought the urge to go back to the beach. I thought about it all week. My mind flitted between wanting to search for answers and fearing what I might find. Eventually, I grabbed my bag and forced myself to go. When I got there, the beach was quiet. It felt different than I remembered, heavy in a way that made my stomach twist. A thick fog rolled in off the water, obscuring everything beyond a few feet. I stood still for a moment, listening to the waves. The sounds felt muffled, ghostly. As I walked along the shore, I scanned the ground. Every shadow seemed to shift, and I flinched whenever something caught my eye. I noticed a cluster of rocks that weren't there before, arranged oddly, like they had purpose. I approached them, unease creeping into my thoughts. A quick flash of color caught my attention, a bright red thing peeking out from the sand. I dug my fingers into the wet earth and pulled it out. It was a toy. A small, plastic figure of a superhero. My breath caught in my throat. It felt too familiar, too real. I turned it over in my hands, expecting to see a kid's name scribbled somewhere. Nothing. Just the unblemished red plastic. A sound broke through the fog. Faint laughter, but it didn't sound joyful. I froze. The laughter echoed across the beach, just beyond my vision. My heart raced as I looked around, straining to see through the gray blanket. I wanted to run but felt pinned in place. Then I saw something moving in the distance. A figure. It wasn't clear through the fog, but it looked like a child. Panic twisted inside me. I thought about the shoe I found, the job of bringing it home. This was the same beach, and it felt wrong. Shouldn't I call for the child? But what if it was a trick? I could barely see, and my instincts screamed for me to leave. But instead, I called out, "Hey! Are you okay?" My voice came out shaky, lost among the waves. The child didn't respond. They just stood there, facing away from me. I took a step forward, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. That's when I saw it, their long hair brushing against the wind, hanging down like shadows. I felt a chill grip my spine. I shouted again, louder this time. "Hey!" But the child still didn't turn around. Something shifted inside me, a sense of urgency overtook my fear. I needed to get closer. As I walked toward them, the fog began to swirl and lift, revealing the shoreline in pieces. The child still hadn't moved, but I felt something was wrong. That unsettling laughter returned, clearer now, and it wasn't just one voice. I halted. Every instinct urged me to back away. Then everything went dark. The fog thickened again, swallowing me. I lost sight of the shoreline, the child, everything. I tried to shout, but my voice disappeared into the heavy mist. I had to get out. I turned around to retrace my steps, but panic gripped me. The beach was different now. I couldn't remember the way back. I stumbled through the dark mist, my heart pounding like a drum. I felt completely lost, every step uncertain. In the distance, I squinted, hoping for any sign of the shoreline or the child. The laughter echoed again, too close now, and I shivered. It felt as if shadows whispered secrets I wasn't ready to hear. I forced myself to keep moving, taking slow, careful steps. The air felt dense, wrapping around me like a heavy blanket. With each breath, I tried to calm my racing thoughts. I needed to focus. Just find the rocks or the edge of the water. Anything to guide me back. But my senses betrayed me, and instead of reassurance, I found only confusion and dread. Glancing down, I noticed grains of sand caught in the fabric of my jeans. It was strange. Last time, I had been on solid ground. Now, everything felt fragile, as if the beach itself was shifting beneath my feet. I pressed forward again, scanning the ground for the rocks, but there was nothing but brown, wet sand. Just then, I heard footsteps quick and light. My breath hitched in my throat. I whipped around. "Hello?" My voice was a feeble echo in the silence. No answer. But the footsteps continued, dancing just out of sight, drawing me deeper into the fog. Against my better judgment, I followed the sound. I could hardly see a thing, but the laughter came again, faint yet clear, making my skin crawl. It sounded like children voices intertwined, playing some game I wasn't invited to join. "Stop it!" I called out sharply. "Show yourselves!" In response, the laughter grew louder, shifting to haunting echoes. Panic gripped me tighter. I turned back the way I came, desperate to escape the strange taunting, when I felt something cold brush against my leg. I gasped, nearly tripping over an unseen object. Kneeling to investigate, my hands found something solid hidden in the sand. I yanked it out and held it up. It was a small, rusted bell, like the kind a child might use at home. The surface was uneven and coated in salt, clearly abandoned. Why would a child leave this behind? With the bell in my hand, I felt a sudden warmth cutting through the fog. And then, just like that, it vanished. The darkness returned, thick and imbued with tension. My heart raced again, this time pounding with urgency. I was still lost, yet the laughter echoed around me, now accompanied by faint cries. "Help!" I shouted, my voice cracking. "I need help." Instead of relief, silence smothered me. I took another rapid step, but the ground shifted beneath me again. This time, the sand crumbled away, and I felt a drop. I yelped, tumbling down a small ledge into cool water. Gasping, I surfaced and flailed, realizing I was now in shallow waves. Everything felt different. My surroundings seemed distorted. The laughter was replaced with whispers, soft and unintelligible. This wasn't just a beach anymore, it was a part of something deeper, something that compelled me to stay despite the danger. But then I saw the outline of a figure in the distance. A familiar silhouette standing motionless at the edge of what I thought was the end of the world. My heart lurched. Was it a trick? I strained to see, every instinct screaming for me to turn away, yet the grip of curiosity pulled me closer. What had I stumbled into on this cursed beach? I took a deep breath and stepped cautiously through the water, feeling the chilly waves lap against my legs. The silhouette didn't move. It remained still, a dark shape against the fading light. Maybe it was just a trick of my mind, a remnant of the fear that had taken root in me. But as I approached, I realized it wasn't just my imagination. There was someone there. My heart thundered louder with every step. I squinted, hoping to make out more details, but the mist clung to the figure like a creeping shadow. "Who's there?" I called out, my voice wavering slightly. There was a flicker of movement then, as if the figure had turned to acknowledge me. My pulse raced, maybe it was the child I had been seeking. I reached for hope, even as doubt gnawed at my mind. "Come closer," the voice whispered, airy and distant. It was soft yet carried an authority that pulled me in. I felt compelled to step forward despite the instinct to run. As I entered the shallower water, the whispers grew louder, swirling around me like a rising tide. With each hesitant step, the figure became clearer. It was a girl, maybe 8 years old, with tangled hair and streaks of sand on her cheeks. Her eyes, wide and dark, stared straight through me. Panic bubbled in my chest, something was off. "Can you help me find my friends?" she asked, tilting her head like a curious bird. "They're here, I can hear them." "Where are they?" I asked, forcing my heart to slow. "I don't hear anything." She pointed toward the swirling mist behind her. "There, just beyond the rock. They're playing hide and seek. You can join us." Panic transformed into confusion. The mist thickened as flashes of laughter rolled in. "What kind of game is this?" I demanded, my voice sharp. The moment felt warped, like a mirage shattering as I tried to grasp what was happening. "Just a game," she repeated, but something in her eyes changed. The cheer morphed into something darker. "You need to stay with us." That was when a loud crash echoed through the air, like thunder overhead. The surface of the water trembled beneath me. I spotted movement behind the girl's shadows darting in the mist, too quick to identify. Fear pierced through me, screaming that something terrible lurked beyond my sight. "Get back!" I shouted, instinctively stepping away. But the girl didn't move, she watched me intently, the smile fading from her face. An unsettling calm washed over her, as if she were no longer the child I thought I'd seen. "Why are you scared?" she asked, her voice cold now. "I thought you wanted to play." And just like that, the figure shifted, her form beginning to blur, the edges melting into the fog. I stumbled backward, heart pounding fiercely. The whispers intensified, wrapping around me like chains. That's when I caught sight of the rocks the girl had mentioned. They jutted from the water, inviting and sinister all at once. I didn't want to look back, but I couldn't help it. The girl was gone, swallowed by the haze. Suddenly, the water beneath me roiled violently. Another shadow broke through the surface, this one larger, darker, reflecting my own panic. I couldn't stand there anymore. I turned and bolted, lungs burning as I pushed through the shallow waves, desperate to escape whatever I had awakened. And then, for just a moment, I heard it again, a child's laughter rising above the surf, sweet and innocent, yet terrifying. Whatever haunted this place was not just beyond the mist. It was inside me, too, and I had no idea how to break free. I ran with all my might, each footfall splashing through the water as I fought to escape the haunting laughter. My heart raced, pounding against my ribs like a trapped bird, desperate for freedom. I didn't look back, I couldn't. I just needed to get to solid ground, away from everything that lurked in the fog. The shoreline came into view, a familiar outline against the darkening sky. Sandy beach, littered with shells and driftwood, my refuge. I pushed myself harder, adrenaline coursing through me as I closed the distance. Just a few more steps, I told myself. You'll be safe. But the moment I reached the dry sand, I stumbled, dropping to my knees as the fear clawed at me. The laughter faded into the distance, but the memory still echoed in my mind. I took a moment to catch my breath, hands sinking into the cool grains beneath me. I had to regroup, to think. What was happening? The girl in the mist, that cold smile, she was a child. Why did she feel so threatening? I felt a chill that had nothing to do with the evening air. I needed answers, but as I sat there, all I could think about was how to forget. It wasn't going to happen. Scanning the beach, I noticed something out of place. Half buried in the sand was a small object, glimmering faintly under the dim light. My heart started racing again as I crawled closer, curiosity battling my residual fear. It was a pendant, the kind that children might wear. I brushed the sand away and picked it up. The metal was cool against my palm, and I turned it over, revealing an engraving. My breath caught. Alice. I could hardly believe it. That was the same name I heard murmured in the mist. Was the girl named Alice? But then a noise shattered the moment. Footsteps echoed behind me, heavy and deliberate, like they belonged to someone much larger. I froze, the pendant slipping through my fingers and diving into the sand. I turned slightly, half expecting to see the girl again, but instead, a figure emerged from the shadows, standing near the tree line. It was a man, tall and broad-shouldered, his face obscured by the darkness. I could make out the glint of something in his hand. My instincts screamed at me to run, but I was too paralyzed by fear and confusion. I couldn't see his expression, but the way he stood was unsettling. It was as if he was waiting for something or someone. "Who are you?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. The sound of the waves crashing behind me felt like a distant roar now. He stepped forward, and the light of the fading sun caught his eyes. They were deeply set, like two dark wells that pulled me in. "I'm here for Alice," he said, his voice gruff but smooth. "Are you with her?" The question hung in the air, thickening it with dread. "No. I was looking for her." He tilted his head slightly, considering my words. "Then you shouldn't have come here." His tone carried an ominous weight. In that instant, I knew I was in over my head. Whoever he was, he had a connection to the girl and to whatever darkness was lurking in the mist. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows on the sand. My pulse quickened again as I weighed my options. With a sudden movement, he took a step closer, and I realized that the fog was creeping in again, curling around my legs like icy fingers. "You need to leave," his voice growled, low and commanding. "Before it's too late." The urgency in his message struck me sharply. There was something more than just the chill in the air, there were secrets here, threats that could pull me under. I didn't know what the man wanted or how far this would go, but I was determined to find the truth. As I made the decision to confront him, the darkness loomed closer and the laughter echoed in my ears once more. I took a shaky breath. The man's warning echoed in my mind, but my curiosity pushed me forward. "What do you mean it's too late? What is going on with Alice?" I asked, staring hard at his shadowed face. His eyes narrowed. "You've already seen too much. You don't know what you're getting into." Before I could respond, a gust of wind howled through the trees, sending a shiver down my spine. The fog thickened, wrapping around us like a suffocating blanket. I felt the first pangs of panic twist in my stomach. Was this mist supposed to hide him or to trap me? Suddenly, there was movement behind him. The figure of a child floated into view, her pale face obscured by a veil of fog. It was Alice. "Help me," she whispered, her voice a haunting echo that I could almost feel in my bones. I turned to the man, bewildered. "Is that her? Is she in trouble?" He shook his head, a grin set to his mouth. "That's not her. Not the Alice you want to find." My mind raced. The girl in the mist looked like she needed help, yet the man's words weighed heavy with warning. "Why are you speaking for her? What do you know?" He stepped closer, the tension intensifying. "Listen to me. Leave this place. You think you're strong enough to uncover the truth, but you're just another player in a game you can't understand." "What game?" I demanded, my voice gaining strength. The laughter faded again, replaced now by a growing quiet. I felt the pull of the ocean behind me, reminding me of my escape route. Yet here I was, glued to the sand and the mystery unfolding before me. "People come here looking for Alice," he said slowly. "They think they can save her. But she's not lost. She's lost to them." He pointed towards the mist where the girl had lingered. "There's no saving in this game." The air crackled with tension, and I took a step back, my instinct screaming. Was the girl a victim or something more? I had to know, but I could feel the walls closing in. "Then what do you want?" I asked. "Why are you really here?" At that moment, the fog swirled around Alice again, obscuring her fragile figure and replacing her image with something dark and sinister. My heart raced as the laughter returned, louder, more chaotic. I felt trapped between the man and the girl, caught in a whirlwind of fear and confusion. He stared at me, a veiled urgency etched in his furrowed brow. "You have to see," he began, but his voice was swallowed by the cacophony. Then everything went dark. The sound of crashing waves faded to silence, and I felt my feet leave the ground. I was being pulled into the mist, weightless and disoriented. Was I losing my mind? With a jolt, the fog dissipated, and I found myself standing once more on the shoreline, but everything was different. The world felt hazy, distorted, like I was staring through the wrong end of a telescope. The man was gone, and so was Alice. Panic surged through me. I was alone, and I had no idea where to go next. As I turned toward the path leading back to the trees, I noticed something glimmering on the sand. It was the pendant again. I picked it up and felt a chill skitter across my skin this time. The laughter came from somewhere deep in the fog. I knew I had opened a door I couldn't close. What had I stumbled into? The beach was eerily quiet now, the laughter replaced by a heavy silence that clung to the air. I clutched the pendant tightly, feeling its cool metal bite into my palm. I couldn't shake the feeling that it was a key to something dangerous. As I stood there, scanning the shoreline, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. It was a shadow darting through the trees that fringed the beach. Instinctively, I stepped back, but curiosity pushed me closer. I had to know. Was it the man again, or something else entirely? I moved toward the tree line, my heart pounding. The fog was still thick, swirling like a living creature. As I approached, I spotted a figure crouched low, barely visible through the mist. I squinted, trying to make out who or what it was. The closer I got, the more I felt an unease grow in my chest. "Hello?" I said, my voice shaky. There was no response, only the rustle of leaves. I tried again, louder this time. "Can you hear me?" The figure turned slightly, revealing a child's face, pale and gaunt. It looked nothing like Alice but still had a haunted quality, eyes wide with fear. "You shouldn't be here," it whispered, its voice faint and trembling. "Why not? What do you know about Alice?" I pressed, desperate for answers. "That place," the child pointed, trembling as it spoke. "It's not what you think. The fog carries her voice, but it traps her too. You can't save her." A chill ran down my spine. "Then who are you? You're just like her, aren't you?" It shook its head, shadows moving across its face like passing clouds. "I'm not her. I'm like all of them." "Like all of whom?" My impatience flared. But before it could answer, the laughter sliced through the air again, echoing like a taunt. The child shrank back, and I felt a jolt of fear. "Get out!" It screamed suddenly, and just like that, the figure vanished into the fog. I stumbled back, heart racing and breath coming in quick bursts. What was happening to me? I glanced around, feeling exposed and vulnerable. My instincts screamed that I needed to leave, but something in me pushed back. I had to understand this twist in the narrative. I had to know what tied the figures in the mist to Alice. I took a deep breath and moved further along the shoreline, casting worried glances over my shoulder. The fog curled tightly around me, blurring my path. That's when I saw it, something dark bobbing in the water just off the coast. I waded into the shallows, the water cold against my skin. As I reached out to grab it, panic fluttered in my chest. Was it a risk worth taking? That's when I saw it clearly, a small, waterlogged journal. I retrieved it, a wave of dread washing over me as I opened it to find pages filled with frantic scribbles. The first words I saw made my breath catch in my throat. "Alice is the key, find her before it's too late." Who had written this? And what did they mean? With the fog thickening again, I realized I was running out of time. Something was closing in, and I had no idea what awaited me next. I spun around, clutching the journal against my chest, heart hammering. The laughter echoed once more, sharper now, as if it were mocking my dread. I needed to find a way out of here. Panic grew with every passing moment, and the fog felt thicker, almost suffocating. Turning toward the path I had come from, I called out into the mist, "Is anyone there?" My voice trembled, and I strained to hear a response, but only the sound of crashing waves filled the silence. Taking a step forward, I felt the chill of the water retreating against my legs. I noticed then that the beach was even more deserted than before. The voices of the children, the playful splashes, had all but faded. Something heavier lingered in their absence, an unseen force pushing on my resolve. Without thinking, I flipped back to the first pages of the journal, scanning for further clues. The handwriting was erratic, and the ink was smeared in places. I read bits of fragmented thoughts. "The fog can't be trusted, she speaks when the mist rolls in," and then, chillingly, "they'll take you too." My stomach knotted. Who were they? In the distance, I heard a faint noise, a soft voice weaving through the fog, almost melodic yet laced with something sinister. "Help us," it drifted slowly, a repeated plea that felt heavy in my bones. I instinctively wanted to run but felt drawn to it equally. I hesitated. The decision weighed heavily. Should I follow the sound or turn back? The child's warning echoed in my mind. "You can't save her." But what if the voice belonged to Alice? Could I risk turning away without knowing? The fog rippled as I took a cautious step toward the sound, pulse racing. Suddenly, a cold wind swept through, and I glimpsed a shape moving among the trees, another shadow. This one was larger, shifting and blending with the mist. My breath hitched. "Who's there?" I called out, desperately scanning for a glimpse of the figure that seemed to disappear and reappear in the fog. Then it happened. The moment I peered hard into the mist, I heard laughter louder, stretching and bending the air like a dark cloud. It was everywhere, and I felt a strangling pressure around me. I wanted to flee, but something held me rooted in place. From within the shadows, I caught sight of something. A tattered doll, half buried in the sand, its button eyes glimmered with an unsettling glint. Its mouth stitched shut. As I knelt to pick it up, I felt a sharp tear in the air. The laughter turned to screams, jarring and wild. I dropped the doll, heart racing, scrambling back. The fog began to thicken again, swirling furiously. "Find her." It was the child's voice. "You have to find her." Just then, the darkness shifted, and I was hit with an overpowering urge to run. Fumbling, I took off toward the sea, the water crashing against my legs, each step turning into a desperate sprint. I could feel the unseen presence flanking me, closing in. But when I glanced back, the shadow had vanished. Everything felt strangely still. I ran harder, breathless, fully aware that I was deeper in the mystery than I had ever intended. And then everything went dark. I felt my feet slip on the wet sand and fell. The world around me swirled into a blurry fog, and in that chaotic haze, I heard a voice fainter this time, but clear. "You're too late." I jolted awake, heart racing. The darkness pressed against me like a heavy blanket. I tried to blink away the confusion, but my surroundings remained shrouded in thick fog. I could barely make out the outline of the beach a few feet from where I lay. Rolling onto my knees, I pushed myself up and brushed sand from my palms. The air felt cold against my skin, sending shivers through me. I glanced around, expecting to see the figures I had imagined before I collapsed. Nothing. The laughter, the screams, everything had vanished. The only sound now was the relentless crash of waves. "Hello?" I called out again, my voice trembling more than I intended. Silence met my plea. I still clutched the journal tightly, as if it were a lifeline. I had to figure out if I was really alone or if something lingered just outside the edges of the fog. Shaking off the lingering dread, I scanned the shore. When I saw it, a glimmering object half buried in the sand. My heart quickened as I stumbled over, every instinct urging me to back away. Maybe it was just debris washed ashore. I brushed more sand away and gasped. It was a beautiful, ornate locket, its surface engraved with intricate designs. The sight was oddly comforting but also chilling. I flipped it open and felt a wave of nausea wash over me. Inside was a faded photograph, a little girl with strikingly familiar features. The same dark hair, the same kind smile. Alice. This couldn't be a coincidence. I pocketed the locket, even as unease gnawed at me. I had to decide my next move. Do I keep searching or head back where I came from? My thoughts tangled, but the urgency pulled me down the beach in the direction of the voice. With each cautious step, the fog writhed around me. I heard it again, softer this time. "Help us," I hesitated. The last time I followed that sound, it led me to the edge of a breakdown. But what if this time was different? What if Alice was calling for me? I took a deep breath and pressed on, guided by instinct. Suddenly, I stumbled over something. Looking down, I saw a child's shoe. It was small, pink and eerily clean against the damp sand. I knelt down, my insides twisting. I glanced back, considering the way I had come, one thought dominating my racing mind: I wasn't alone here. My thoughts turned chaotic. Did Alice wear shoes like these? Why was it abandoned? My heart raced as a chilling feeling washed over me, the sense that I was being watched. Then I heard it again. "Help us," suddenly louder and more desperate. It echoed as if multiple voices were calling out now. My hands trembled, and I could feel the weight of their cries in my chest. I got up quickly, adrenaline pushing me forward, but something stopped me. There, in the distance, a shadow materialized, shifting amongst the trees once more. It was larger than before, and I felt oddly tempted to approach, even as dread whispered warnings in the back of my mind. Before I could make sense of the encroaching fear, the fog cleared slightly, revealing a path leading deeper into the woods. I hesitated, glancing back at the beach. The tide whispered against the sand, oblivious to the battle raging inside me. I took a step toward the trees, resolve hardening. I had to know if I could find Alice. But just as I committed to the path, I felt cold fingers brush against the back of my neck. Something was there, closing in, and I felt the pull of the unseen as I turned to find out what lurked just beyond the fog. The world around me shifted again, the fog swirling as if teasing me with glimpses of what was hidden. I forced myself to keep moving, adrenaline coursing through my veins. I had to find Alice. The voices grew louder, echoes lurking just out of sight, urging me forward, yet uncertainty braided with fear tightened around my chest. As I stepped into the woods, shadows danced between the trees. I hesitated, but the thought of leaving now felt unbearable. I pressed forward, branches scratching at my arms as I ventured deeper. Each step felt weighted with purpose, yet dread pulsed in my veins. The faint sound of laughter, was it real? Or just another trick mind playing under the mantle of fear? I paused, straining to listen. "Help us save her," the voices seemed to swirl around me as the underlying tension grew. I couldn't discern a clear direction, and yet the call felt urgent, stretching a connection between me and the echoes mingled within the fog. "Where are you?" I shouted, desperation threading through my voice. The air weighted heavily with silence, the laughter replaced by whispers that churned in my mind, shifting like summer leaves under a restless wind. Then I saw her, Alice, tangled in shadows, her figure flickering at the edge of the grove. "Come!" she called, a tinge of excitement underlined with desperation. "Alice!" I lunged forward, heart racing, but as I approached, the shadows thickened and consumed her. Panic etched itself in the back of my throat. I felt the fog closing in as if the woods were alive, molding themselves against my journey. Fingers grazed my arm again, chillier this time. I turned sharply, catching only brief glimpses, faces swirling in the mist, eyes wide and pleading. "She's ours," a voice sang, threaded with both laughter and sorrow. My resolve shook. "No!" I cried out, backstepping. I turned, making a break for it, tripping through fallen branches and underbrush. I would not let them take me too. I couldn't become just another whisper among the screams of lost children. As panic clawed at me, the world twisted again, colors melting into one another, and shadows melded together. I burst through the foliage, tumbling onto the shore once more, gasping for air. The waves rolled in rhythm, steady and chaotic, but the presence loomed all around me, murmuring secrets I wasn't ready for. The laughter returned, softer now yet insistent, stirring an unease in my gut. I fought to control my breathing, scrabbling to my knees. The beach felt familiar yet alien, like a half-formed memory struggling to emerge from the fog. Looking out to the horizon, I caught sight of something, a figure adrift on the waves. I squinted, heart in my throat. It could be Alice. "Alice!" I shouted, voice cracking. But the figure didn't respond, simply floating, drifting further away. I stumbled forward, knowing I had to reach her. My feet barely touched the surface as I dashed into the surf, the cold water lapping up to my waist. Desperation clawed at me, and I strained to see through the darkening haze. The figure had vanished, waves had swallowed it whole. I turned back, breath hitching. I couldn't think straight. I could still hear the laughter closing in, echoing across the sand. Something cold and small brushed against my leg. As I looked down, I saw the bell. I'd dropped it earlier when everything went dark. Clutching it tightly, the warmth of its presence offered a flicker of connection to the girl. I could hear it now, the gentle tinkle, perfectly out of sync with the haunting laughter surrounding me. I needed to find her, to break whatever curse ensnared this beach. "Show me!" I called out, my voice raw. "Where are you?" In response, the shoreline curved, the patterns washing away, revealing a flattened stone with childlike drawings carved in its surface. The patterns called to me. I dropped deeper into the water, pressing my palms against them, and shivered as I felt the warmth seep from the stone into my skin, a connection that threatened to unravel everything I knew. A vision sparked a flurry of memories intertwined with laughter, puncturing the dark. I saw the children playing, their bright smiles a stark contrast to the shadows that loomed over them. But then faces morphed, laughter turned sinister as a wave of terror washed over them, shrill cries of despair floated away. I jerked back, heart racing. What had happened to them? How were they tied to Alice? The laughter grew louder, muffled voices raised in protest just beneath the surface. I felt the pull of the ocean deeper now, each wave a whisper urging me closer to the center of this dark mystery. As the fog thickened again, I fought the urge to wade back to the shore. With each heartbeat, answers slipped from grasp like grains of sand. What was Alice? What had I awakened? I felt trapped between fear and need to understand. I had come for someone, but was it my destiny to become part of this tale of shadows? Yet the hand of fate had its tight grip on me. As if summoned by my doubts, I caught sight of movement once more, a flicker of light amid the darkening sky, the blurred outline of a figure beckoning me deeper. In that moment, I knew I could no longer stand idle on the edge. I had to enter the unknown, knowing some doors once opened could never be closed. With determination igniting my spirit, I placed one foot in front of the other, stepping into the swell, guided by darkness and light as the laughter enveloped me once more. My fate was unfolding beneath the waves, waiting to reveal what whispered against the shores of my memory, and before long, I could no longer resist. I was in too deep. Only time would tell what lay on the other side.